Episode 32 of the Back of the Class podcast. I'm Glenn Anderson.
I'm Ben Hannon.
And before we start off this week's episode, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our sponsors, the Bar Griffin Inn, the Pitside Pizza and Grill, VAR Electrical and the Members First Credit Union. And this week we're joined by
Ciaran O'Connor.
Thanks a lot for coming in.
It's an absolute pleasure, boys. Thank you very much for having me.
How are you getting on?
Very well, yeah. Very, very well recently. Very, very busy.
You're only back from Dubai, aren't you? How was the marathon?
Dubai. Yes.
You raised a lot of money for charity, didn't you?
We did indeed. Don't quote me, but I think we're touching $9,000.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. There's. I think we're waiting on a little bit of money. This dude actually is only about your age. I think he's from the south side. Oh, he's gonna kill me now. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he actually got in contact with Sean when we announced that we were doing this. Doing the run in Dubai. He got on to Sean, and he actually. He's still in school, but he works on trying to get funding for charity initiatives. Like, he gets involved in loads of charity initiatives and sources funding for it. And he literally just reached out to Sean and was like, I'd love to try and help us. And I think he's sending Sean about £1,000 or something.
Jeez, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was mental.
So you want to get in contact with him? He sounds like he has his head screwed on.
Yeah, no, big time. He shot us over an email. He was an incredible guy. But yeah, I think that money's going in, and then we're closing it off. And I think we're touching about 9,000, yeah. So for Jigsaw, which is such an incredible charity for young people's mental health in Ireland, it was pretty special to be over there running for them, yeah.
100%. Was it your first time in Dubai, or were you there a few times?
First time in Dubai, definitely won't be my last. I loved it. I did love it.
What was the experience?
Yeah, now people laugh. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't think Dubai would be for me. Like, it's very flashy and stuff. And it is if, like, that's what you make it. But, like, we didn't make it that. I'm not much of a crazy flash person. So, like, you know, it's incredible place. It's obviously incredible weather. It's very clean. It's not very strict. I think all these things of, like, you're not allowed to walk around holding hands with your girlfriend and all, like, they're myths. Like, it's not all that. But it's very clean. People are lovely. Food's really good. I'd highly recommend it. I'd love to go back. We were there for 5 days. And then between getting there, the run and stuff, we crammed a lot in. Like, we did lots, but there's loads more to do.
Yeah.
What was the running in the heat like? And are the horror stories true? I want to ask you, because you know that people say when you run a marathon, like, your toenails to be falling off, your feet to be bleeding and all. Like, are they true, or is it all just myths?
No. So I ran the Dublin Marathon back in 2022 for the crack. I was like 18 or something, and I raised loads of money for PA the House. Raised like £1,500, and I ran, and I was only when I started Soul Food, and we put we were doing loads of semi t-shirts and all, and that was grand. But I didn't train for it, and it was the most hardest experience I've ever had in my life. But the half in Dubai specifically, I've done the full in Dublin. I've done a good few halves, and I've been running for a good few years. But the half in Dubai, so I ran the Rome half marathon at the end of last year with one of my good friends, James, and we didn't really train for it, and we did an hour and 48 minutes, and I was like, lovely. So basically, one of my best friends, Aaron, moved over to Malaga, and he's a running coach, and he asked me to do the Malaga half marathon in March. Him and a couple of his clients are doing it, and he was like, you should try and PB for it. And I was like, oh yeah. He was like, you should probably do a sub 90, like a sub 130 half marathon, which is 4:14 split, which is pretty violent running, bro. So we came up with that plan at the start of December for March. It's in 4 weeks, and then Dubai popped up, and then we were just like, right, let's try get it for Dubai. So we went for the sub 90. I trained for it for a very long time. We went over the first 11k of Dubai. We were on pace for the sub 90. I think we were hitting 4:12 splits. We were fluctuating between 4:10, 4:20. So one of the boys, Sean, that we went with, he's a proper runner. He did like a sub 2 hour marathon for his first one. And then Jay is very athletic too. Like, he's a really good runner. So the three of us were going for it together. We hit 11k, yeah, and it was up like a 300 meter like hill, like literally a hill. We get to the top of the hill, right, and there's like 10 kilometers left. And Sean turns around to me and he's like, "Come on, Ciaran, let's go. 10k left. How are you feeling, bro?" I looked at him and I just went, I'll spare you the details, but I got sick in my mouth twice.
Were you tracking it?
My legs were spent.
I was warm over there when you were down.
So genuinely, boys, after 11k, it was like I was running through a microwave. And I'm not making excuses, because I went for the sub 90. I was gutted I didn't get it, but it is what it is. is, and I'm training again. I'm gonna go for it in Malaga. But after 11k, I was spent because we were running so violent for 11k through like the humidity, because like it's not sun, you know, it's just
it's
like
humid,
it's genuinely like a microwave. So yeah, no, it was tough. Now, but my toenails weren't falling off and all.
The nipples thing isn't true, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it might be. Like, I don't know. I don't think your toenails will be falling off for it. Maybe if you're doing like an ultra marathon, like 100 kilometer, like David Goggins or something,
through the
it probably
deserts
would.
and all, yeah.
But no, I think anyone can do a half marathon, 100%. 100% anyone could do a half marathon if they dedicated a couple of months training to it. Marathon's a whole different ball game for sure. Like, I've only done one. I'm definitely going to do a couple more. But no, I think they're myths for halves now. There's no, even in humidity like that, you're bleeding everywhere. And no, it was grand. I was spent. Actually, did you see? I was going to say I was spun at the end of it, but did you see the video that Sean made of us crossing the finish line?
Yeah,
I mean, he was like, "Now is forever," and the three of us. It was great, yeah. But it was so funny because I come over the finish line, I was bawling crying. I'm not gonna lie to you. With like the whole jigsaw thing, and I like to talk about mental health and being an advocate for it, and you know, exercise gets me through my own mental struggles and stuff like that. And the reason we were doing it for, so I think all the emotions just kind of built up, and it came out at the end. I started bawling crying. And I was obviously red like as a lobster, and then the camera cuts to me, right, and I'm like nearly crying, I'm like falling over. Jay's like holding his knees and he's goosed, and then Sean's just like looked like he went down to the shop for some bread and milk, like Sean's just fresh.
Every video I see Sean, he's out on a, like he does that day in the life of me, he goes out on a run, so he'd be well fit.
Consistency adds up there, doesn't it, especially for doing a marathon.
I know Sean's I was only talking. I got very, very close to Sean. I only met Sean through this whole Dubai thing. We didn't know who each other was before this. Yeah, it was
from
crazy.
an outsider's view, I thought you were all like best friends from kids or something.
So no, I've known Jay for a couple of years, and Sean's known Jay for a couple of years. And then Sean was planning to do the Dubai half marathon in February, and he was talking to Jay about it, and Jay was like, "Oh, I might do that too." And then basically, Sean put up a story and Jay reposted it, and they were talking about the Dubai half marathon. And I was driving, and I literally swiped up on Jay's story, and I was like, "Fact, anyone could run a half marathon." And Jay was like, "Do you want to run the Dubai half marathon in February?" And I was like, "Absolutely!" Like, so that's where it all came from. We hopped on a WhatsApp call that night, and that was it. And yeah, it was an incredible trip.
Yeah, I remember seeing that post. You were all posting it on your stories, a picture of the post, and said something big coming.
The three of us.
I thought you were going to launch a business or something. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, never say, geez, the last thing I need is another business. But so that's how I met Sean, and we've honestly gotten so close since. Like, I was with him today, but with him nearly every week since and before Dubai. But nah, he's an incredible person. But I was talking about him because we were only out on a run. We did a 12k in the Phoenix Park on Saturday, and then we went to an event with Fulfill in the Hotbox in Inchicore, Deadly Day, and we were running, and Sean was literally just like, I actually don't think I give myself enough credit for like how like good of a runner I am. And I was like, I know, I'm trying to say this to, like, he ran his first marathon in a sub 3 hour. And like he's gonna kill me because I'm definitely gonna get this wrong, but his 5k is something like 16.5 minutes or something like that.
That's
17 minutes or just like, whoa. So yeah, he's a violent runner. And
it's about 3 minutes a k.
Yeah, like he's like, yeah. Now don't quote me, and if Sean's listening, right, it's just you can clarify the numbers, but it's something stupid, anyways. And yeah, no, Sean.
We won't say but when we have Sean in, he can confirm with us.
Exactly, yeah. You can wait till he gets on. But anyways, his running is insane. And he's an even better human. He's genuinely like what you see. I think the reason why like he does so well in what he does is because who he is on camera is exactly who he is in person. Like, he literally just like documents his life. He's just good at documenting his life, but like him laughing in videos and like dancing and get ready with me and like wearing Spider-Man masks in, like, he brought a Spider-Man mask to Dubai and we were just doing stupid videos and all. Like, I'm a very creative person, so we're just bouncing ideas off each other. So who he is online is exactly who he is in real life, and I think the authenticity just breathes through that. Violent runner, but even better human, and I'm just grateful to call him a good friend now too. Yeah,
deadly. And we usually, with all our guests, we bring it back to the start. Do you want to bring us back to the start and tell us what like school life was like for you, what it was like growing up, sort of did you get into any hobbies, sports, and where did your sort of entrepreneurship come from?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't even feel like an entrepreneur half of the time. Yeah, school was grand. I think for me, now, I don't like making it a big sob story, but it really starts from my dad. He died when I was 8 years old. He got cancer in May 2010 and died in October, so he's pretty much like gone within 4 months. And my mum always says that he was probably sick for a long time and never talked about it because he was that type of person. So I don't really remember a lot about my dad. But
Did that affect you a lot when you were younger, or were you sort of too young to realise what was going on?
Bit of both, bro. Bit of both. So I'm still dealing with it to this day. I've actually only truly grieved it recently. Like I was 8 years old, you know, like can you remember 8 years old? I don't think anyone really can. No. So you throw your dad down on top of it, like it's very I
probably didn't know what was happening around that time.
I was an extremely aware child. I remember everything vividly. Like I remember, what's that story that I always talk about? Yeah, I remember I was sitting outside my dad's funeral in the little limousine thing that you get for funerals, and there was people coming up and they were giving me presents. Like I remember one person gave me like an origami set, you know, like when you fold paper and you can put it into things. I'll never forget it. Anytime I see origami, I think of this exactly. And I just remember like thinking in my head, I'm 8 years old at my dad's funeral. I'm like, why am I getting presents right now? Like my dad's dead. Like this doesn't really make sense. So I was an extremely aware child. I remember his funeral day vividly. I remember the last time I seen him in the hospice. I walked in, he was yellow as a ghost, like a skeleton. He didn't say a thing. It was like he didn't even know who I was. And yeah, I remember everything very vividly. But I think from there it was just like I was just forced into the life of like, right, let's pull our big boy pants up and let's get to work for me mammy, and let's, you know, like watching me mum cry at my dad's funeral. And I was just like I didn't cry at my dad's funeral. Now I was 8 years old, so like I was probably just...
Do you think that like losing your dad kind of like motivated you in a way to like make him proud?
Yeah.
Sort of.
100%. I think it's more make my mum proud than my dad.
Yeah.
But it's definitely for him to like vicariously live through me. Like apparently we're meant to be very similar. Like he was a big strong man who looked after everyone. I'd like to think of myself as something similar. But everything kind of went from there. Yeah, I guess my whole life just did a big 180. Like before that it was probably just normal. Like, you know, I was in school, I was playing football, I had a family, and then my dad died, and then my whole world just kind of flipped. But after that, my mum, she kind of like put us kind of straight back into school and like had us still playing football and just tried to keep us as normal as possible, not like, you know, sit around and mope about it. And my mum is everything to me, man. I owe that woman the world. I was literally only on a phone call with her just there talking about it. But yeah, what she's done for me and my brother, she just sacrificed everything to try and give us a better life. And I guess now I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just trying to build a better life than we got. But that's where it starts. Yeah.
Did you sort of get into any jobs or think to yourself like, money wise, I'm gonna have to help me ma out here, or even emotional wise, I'm gonna have to help me ma out here? And how did you sort of do that, and then balancing school and friends and a young age?
Yeah, great question, bro. So after that, I was 8, so I would have been in 3rd class. Primary school was pretty normal. I was actually very academic in primary school as well. I really, really liked school. Like, remember the Dunboyne tests and all, and like mental maths first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
I still remember that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Mental maths first 10 minutes in school, and the Dunboyne little pink cards and all. So yeah, I was very academic in school. I really, really liked school in primary school. And then when I went to secondary school, I think I fell down the path of just wanting to be liked and popular and this and that. And I just really didn't like school anymore. I think secondary school is a lot different than primary school as well. And then, yeah, I just didn't really like school. And then after 4th year, like, I was only laughing with one of my friends actually from school the other day. Because like when I say like after 4th year, like I didn't go to school, I didn't completely drop out, but like when I say I didn't go to school, I genuinely did not go to school. Like I'd rock in for one class and then rock back out, and like the lads would be like, oh, here's Ciaran, you know. But yeah, around the same time, as soon as I turned the legal age of 16, I got a job in Super Value in Malahide, just stocking shelves for like $6.50 an hour. And I worked there for about 9 months, and then I just didn't like it. I'm a very, you know, you're stocking shelves in a shop, like, you know what I mean? I'm glad I did it because I have the experience, but it's the whole, you know, you have a manager in your ear and that's not done right, blah, blah, blah. So I knew it wasn't going to last very long. And then I basically handed my CV into every single restaurant and shop in Malahide, because that's where I live. And there was one cafe in particular, it's called Taste of the Med, and I knew the owner very well. I used to go on my lunch in Super Value into Taste of the Med and talk to the owner, be like, oh, I have to go back to work, blah, blah, blah. And I had no CVs left. This is actually a mad story. I don't think I've ever said this before. I had no CVs left. So I wrote him a letter on a page, and I was like, hey, Jackie, it's Ciaran. Blah, blah, blah. You know me very well. I'm in school. I'm working in Super Value. I don't like it anymore. I think I was finishing for Easter break or something, so I had the 2 weeks off. And I was just like, I'd love a job, whatever you have. And in the letter I said, growing up, I always used to cook because my mum would be out. She was always working, and I'd always come home, and even if it's throwing something in the oven, I'd always be cooking. And I used to love baking, so I was like, if you need a hand in the kitchen, like, you know, you can show me what to do. And he called me. I went down the next day, and he was like, look, you can, one of the girls has gone home for Easter, so you can have a job for 2 weeks, but like, you know, you're like, I can't give you a job after that. And I was like, yeah, that's no problem. And long story short, boys, over them 2 weeks, he the first day I was waiting tables, and I was just like, nah. And he was like, right, so you want to work in the kitchen? And I was like, maybe, yeah. And like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just started in the kitchen. He showed me what to do, and 2 months later I was running the whole thing. Like, I was just
That's
like,
mad, yeah.
I took over everything. I was there all day. I remember there was one day where the oven broke, and like, I had to cook everything on like the grill and like a little pan and stuff, and he came back and was like, how did you just do that? It was like a crazy day. Like, I cooked like I made like all the sales, like I blasted out all the orders in like without a full oven. And after that, yeah, I was there for 3 years, and genuinely, boys, I learned a lot of what I know now off that man Jackie, the owner. I'm still very close to him to this day, and we stock soul food in the cafe, so it's another
That's
little full
deadly,
circle
yeah.
moment. Yeah, it's cool. So I was there for 3 years, and I learned a lot about business, about food specifically, and learned the culinary trade, and I fell in love with the culinary trade too. So I'm a chef. I was a chef for about 3 or 4 years, and I miss it every day. Every day, I do anything to go back and work in kitchens.
Really?
I was in a couple of kitchens after that, and the last kitchen I was in was 6 by Nico in town behind the Ivy. It's a really, really nice place. It's like casual fine dining food, but they have a really cool concept. It's like a 6-course tasting menu, and it changes every 6 weeks. And they've 14 restaurants across the UK and Ireland, and the owner's called Nico Simone, so it's 6 by Nico. It's a big play on words. So the menu might change to like a country or a theme, or like they have a menu called the Chippy, and it's about him growing up as a child getting chipper. So it's like, you know, battered cod and like deep fried Mars bar and stuff like that. So
Deadly,
yeah, really cool kitchen. So that would have been
Very creative. Like,
really creative, bro. So that'd be nearly 3 years ago.
When you were growing up, did you have a vision in your head that you wanted to be a chef, or did you want to be something else? Or?
No, bro. You know what? I know it's a stereotype, but I just always, I don't know if it's egotistical to just say, I always knew that I was gonna do something. I always just knew that I was just
gonna have an
I
impact.
was gonna do something. Yeah. I always knew. But no, I didn't know. I guess I went through school, and all you care about in school is what the lads are doing and playing football and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just, you know, skill was wrecking my head, and then I was working in Taste of the Med. I used to, like, my mum would drop me to school. I'd do a lap at the bottom floor. I'd walk down to the village, and I'd walk into Taste of the Med. And he'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm working. And he's like, you're not getting paid. And I was like, well, I'm not going back to school. And then I just worked there. Yeah, so it was real kind of just, it was funny looking back on it. Then I went through a couple of different kitchens, a couple pretty intense jobs. Worked with a team of chefs called Gather and Gather, who run a lot of canteens across the country. It's basically like all the best chefs in the country just came together and made a catering company called Gather and Gather, and I was with them for about a year. So yeah, I learned a lot. So then again, whenever people say, oh, like, how do you do soul food? How do you start soul food? You know, I was a chef for 3 years. I've worked at some of the best chefs in the country. I've worked in some of the best kitchens in the country. So running a food company makes sense, you know. I wouldn't go open up a gym because like, I know how to lift weights, but like not to that extent. So running something that you have experience in makes a lot of sense, you know.
I heard you made a little name for yourself around Malahide as well as the health food guy.
Did I, bro? Where is I said that on the podcast with Ciaran, did I? Yeah. Shout out to Ciaran from TMP. What a guy. That's the third podcast I've done in a long time. But yeah. So I would have. Yeah, I think when I was a kid, especially from Taste of the Med, because I started in Taste of the Med in fourth year. So how old in fourth year? 16.
16.
So yeah, I was 16, 17. I was training MMA in Team Rhino. I played football my whole life. I was always outgoing and talking to people. So Taste of Med was a big hub growing up as well. So everyone from school would go down there. I'd be in the kitchen. I'd be saying, do you want this usual? Do you want this? Do you want that? Blah, blah, blah. People would see me out on runs and all. So yeah, I think I got a bit of a name for myself as the healthy food.
And were you very driven at like 16 and 17?
Yeah, I think so. I think I always have been driven. I always have been, like I can't. Now, it's not a good thing sometimes, but I can't sit around. I have to be doing something, I have to be productive. I can't be like, like right now, like all I do is work and train. That's genuinely all I do. I work, I train, I spend time with people I love, I go to sleep and I repeat. But yeah, I think I always have been a pretty driven person, bro. Even back then, even without knowing, like even in Super Value, I do a really good job at stacking the shelves. I do a really good job at sweeping the floor. Like no matter what I do, I want to do a good job. So yeah, I think I always would have been driven, bro. Yeah.
Deadly. And like, have you always like known that you had that creativity kind of side to you, or did that only come out as you went into business?
Yeah, I think the best way to do things is literally just like find out. It's just to test the water. So I don't know. It's very mad. Like sometimes I feel like I fell into the life I live, but then again, no one has built it other than me. So I didn't fall into this life. I've built it for myself. Like I've worked to get to where I am. Like literally the Instagram post I did it. I was going a little emotional rant on social media, but what's the point if you're not honest with people? You know what I mean? And the other night I was thinking like all I've done to get to where I am is put the work in. It's a very straightforward statement. So sorry, what was your question?
Like
I always go off on tangents. You just need to stop me if I need. The creative side. Well maybe like I enjoyed art when I was a kid. I used to play the piano for a bit. Did I have the creative side? I'm not too sure. I guess food is very creative.
Yeah.
I helped Jackie, the owner of Taste of Med, with a couple of menus. I'd always do cool designs on the plates. I think it came on to me over time. Yeah, for sure.
And would I be right in saying before you launched Soul Food, you had another little entrepreneurial journey?
You just have done your homework, boys. Wow, okay.
We come in prepared, yeah.
That is respect, yes. So when I was working in Taste of the Med, so I would have just been about 17. The Instagram is still there, so you can actually, I'm sure you actually went on and looked at it. Soul Kitchen, and see the last post, sorry, but youth unforeseen circumstances. Yeah, I don't know where I got the idea. Where did I get the idea? It was even before all these meal prep companies were a thing. I started a meal prep company when I was 17 from my mum's house, and I worked on it for like a month or something. Made a logo, made little stickers, developed a menu, got all the stock, all the ingredients, set up an Instagram, created a bit of hype. The Instagram is still there. It's called Soul. I called it Soul Kitchen. I did it for a week. I got like 30 orders or something. Like I was blasted. I cooked meals for like 10 hours. I delivered it all myself. I had to do all the logistics behind it too, like make sure I had enough ingredients, stock, fridge space, like everything. I made a good bit of money, but I made even more experience, and I bit off way more than I can chew, and I had to take it on the chin. And literally, like, the orders went out, and then the next day I put up a post and was like, due to unforeseen circumstances, Soul Kitchen is on the back foot for the moment, to be announced soon again. And I just never went back to it. I just bit off way more than I could chew. But the breakfast was oats. It was Oreo overnight oats, and that was the breakfast at the time. So yeah, it was about 17 when I did that. Yeah.
And how old were you when you launched Soul Foods? And where did you get the name Soul?
Yeah.
You had Soul Kitchen and then Soul Foods.
Question. That's a great question, boys. I have this woman in my life called Sharon, who I'd be absolutely lost without. And she's not really, she's a therapist, like, but she's not really my therapist. Basically, did you have rainbows in school? You had that group where, like, if you have, like, you know, divorced parents or a dead relative or something, you go on a Tuesday and you get 2 free classes off, and you sit around, drink tea, and talk about your feelings. It must have just been a Malahide thing.
Yeah, it must have just been a Malahide.
Yeah, well, we had this thing called rainbows, and I went because we had 2 free classes off. And I never used to speak. I put up a big front after my dad died. I'd be like, oh, I'm fine, blah, 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 be joking around and all. But this woman came along called Sharon, and basically she was just the first person that I ever really spoke to on a deeper level. And then when I left school, I asked for her number, and I see her once a month to this day. why did I start talking about Sharon?
Yeah,
And
soul food.
I was with her. Thanks, boys. I was with her one time, and I was talking about this, and she was like, "Because I actually used to have a podcast as well."
Did you?
Did. Yeah. Did you do that? You didn't do that homework.
No,
did
we
you?
didn't see that. No.
It's called Soul Talk. This must be about 2 years ago, boys. I think
Just search up soul on Instagram and everything that
just
pops up is
everything,
Ciaran.
honestly,
So.
yeah, I need to get soul tattooed on me somewhere. But I think I did like 16, 17 episodes. They were mainly episodes on my own, just talking about life and the business and stuff. And then I had a couple of guests on.
When was this?
I was about 2-3 years ago, maybe I'd say.
Right.
It was when the business was like kind of growing. So start of 2023 is exactly when it would have been. Yeah, the first couple of months of 2023. And then I think the last episode I did, I was talking about how it just was starting to become forced. And obviously I was running a business, and I only was doing it for the crack, like, and doing it to try and have a positive impact on people and to show people behind the brand sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kind of I don't really have a reason why. I just kind of stopped doing it. But yeah, so that was called Soul Talk, and then I had Soul Kitchen, and then I set up Soul Food. And Sharon was saying to me, "Why do you think you called it Soul?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "She knows." She was like, "It's a direct representation of who you are. So your soul is like who you truly are. Like your body is just a form of your soul, all that good stuff, like if you really want to get deep into it. But what food is to me, after working in it for so long, why I love it so much and why I'm so good at it, is food is really a love language for me. So growing up, my mum would be coming home from work and I'd have a meal cooked for her. You know, any of my friends or any people that I loved and were in my life, I'd cook a meal for them. It'd make me feel really good. It's really an act of love. It's an act of service. So now, like Soul Food, I make products that I love, and it's my way of trying to have a positive impact onto the world. So Soul Food is genuinely a direct representation of who I am and what I'm trying to do with the world. So that's where Soul Talk came from too. You know, it was me just showcasing and me trying to help the world. And it was what Soul Kitchen was when I was 17 without knowing. Yeah, so
It's unbelievable.
they're Sharon words, they're not mine. Yeah, so she unraveled them for me. So yeah,
It's mad. So did you find that out after you created
yeah,
it?
bro, that would have been maybe about a year after Soul Food was rocking. So I had Soul Kitchen when I was 17. Soul Food, we started kind of the end of 2022, start of 2023. Really.
Where did you get the idea behind that then?
Soul Food? Yeah.
Did you
Jesus.
think the Oreo brownies were doing so well in the kitchen one and you brought them onto that or something?
Yeah, so yeah, they were a big hit. We had, so I don't know, like people always say to me, how did you start it? Like, where did you start? Like, I didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm going to make oats for the rest of my life. But there was loads of things that kind of fell into place. So obviously the meal prep company helped. That was a start. Working as a chef for a couple of years helped. I'd be handy on social media and stuff. I didn't know that I was like becoming a business owner, but everything I was doing was leading down that path. And I remember one of my chefs got me into college. Long story short, literally was like, you should go to college. And I was like, I started laughing, like, you know, I never thought I'd go to college. I barely did school. And he was like, no, you should go to culinary college. I know the head of the school. And he basically got me in 3 days later. I started college like 2 months late in culinary college. I loved it. I was going for the 4 years, the full bachelor's in culinary arts. And that's what I thought I was going to be, a chef. And then I started Soul Food midway through. And I had to defer my second year, which was only in 2023. I deferred it for a year because I was going to see where I could take the company. And then we opened up the cafe. And now I have the opportunity to go back, which is pretty cool. And I can walk straight back into my third year of culinary arts. But I'm not too sure if I ever will. I won't say I won't, but I'm very busy now. So I don't have time to do college right now.
Yeah.
Have a bit of work to do first. But it was. Oh, you're gonna have to remind me, boys.
When did you start it? What did you get the idea?
So the reason why I started talking about college was because I had a lecture in it was like a food nutrition lecture, and we were talking about obesity rates in Ireland, and like specifically in children and stuff. And Jesus Christ, if you don't know about it, it's scary. Like we're one of the worst in Europe.
Are we?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And our lecturer made a joke. She was like, if there's any entrepreneurs in the room, get into a healthy food company. It'll be state funded in 5 to 10 years. She was right, boys. And that was just one thing. And then obviously thinking about Soul Kitchen, and I just always knew I wanted to do my own thing. Like I'll get it out for you boys. It's somewhere on the Instagram, but I have a college assignment where I had to talk about like life or something, and I have a part in it, and it's like, I will work for myself. This is the only way for me. I swear to God, this is like 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe not, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whenever I started college. So for some reason I just had this like nearly blind faith. And then I remember I'd be quite friendly with these two dudes that own this coffee shop in Malahide called the Yellow Door, and they asked me to come down. It would have been sometime in 2022. I think I might have been working in Taste of the Med then, or I was in one of the other kitchens, and I was known as the healthy food guy from Malahide, blah blah blah. And they asked me to come down. They said they were going to start doing healthy food products, overnight oats, protein balls, yogurt balls, blah blah blah. And as a chef, it's very easy to do it. So I rocked down to them. I'll never forget it. I'm stood in their coffee shop, and I'm like, yeah boys, like overnight oats, this is how you do it, protein balls, boom, done. And they were just like, whoa, like this is so easy. And I was like, yeah. And then I remember I went for this is a long story short, but I went for a coffee with one of my friends in college the next day, and I was just like, I was down with my friends that own a cafe. They were talking about this. She was like, you should do that. And I was like, yeah. And it was just one thing after the other. I made a logo. I got onto a graphic designer. I got some stickers made. I sampled some pots. I made some flavors. I made an Instagram, and literally one day, boys, the post is still there. I just put up a post and I said DM to order, and from there it has been one rocket ship to get to where we are today. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
That's literally
what was the
how it
first?
happened.
What was the journey like? What was the first unit like? Getting the first staff.
Whoa. So yeah, so this was like September 2022. Is when all of this is going on. So whenever people ask me when did I start Soul Food, I always say started January 2023, because that's when it really started to take off. But like September, because your first couple of months of business, they're just like, whoa, like what's even going on here? And yeah, so the first couple of months I was just pushing stuff on Instagram. That's where my creative side started to come. Like I enjoy being the face of the business. I was just making stupid funny videos of me dancing and just reels and stuff. I feel like we did founder content before founder content was a thing. I did founder content without knowing. So you know this whole surge now of like showing behind the brand and this whole like day in the life and come with me behind the scenes. I feel like I did that without knowing 2 years ago. 3 years ago now. 2 years ago now. And that's mental that we're only 2 years into it properly. But yeah, so the first couple of months is kind of here and there, just building it up and trying to get the name out there. And had a couple of, I remember the first week I had a couple of cafes text me and were like, oh, what's your wholesale rate and your MOQ? I had to Google what an MOQ was, and I had to be like, that's a great question. Like I didn't even have set prices. Like my mates would text me, were like, oh, give me 10 of them. And I'd just be like, oh yeah, throw me a score or something, like whatever. It wasn't about money. It was just about having a buzz and just making these products. And then people were just going mad for them. Like they are nice, and people still do go mad for them. But
I'd have about 10 pots a week in my fridge.
Do.
Absolutely love them.
Boys, I need to apologise. I went to the cafe. You can ask Sean Hill. I went to the cafe. We went because Sean wanted to take some home, and I was going to bring some here today. But Soul Food oats are extinct in Dublin on a Tuesday and Wednesday. Anywhere.
Your ma has to go on a Friday or Saturday to get them.
Straight, bro. So apologies, because I wanted to bring a few for you, but we're literally sold out in the cafe. I was absolutely snapping. So next time. When Sean's coming on, I'll get him to bring them for you.
Legend.
That's what we'll do. So yeah. But yeah, people were just going mad for them. And yeah, it was just building the planes. It was flying. I think it would have been October 2022. So this is like 2-3 months into the business. That's when I ran the Dublin Marathon. Pierre the House sent me a t-shirt. One of the weeks I donated 100% of the sales we made that week to Pierre the House. A couple £100 at the time. But it was everything like, so we were just starting to build and build and build. But it was like, genuinely, boys, I was just having a laugh the whole time. Like, you know, this whole thing of like when you do something you enjoy, like that's when it starts to come back to you. The definition of me building Soul Food is that, because I never started off for money. It was never about get into as many shops as I can.
Yeah, it's like that saying that they say, like, if you work without getting paid, you'll eventually be paid more than you work.
That's exactly it. Yeah. And it's like, there was never like a, okay, I'm going to have this many shops, or I'm going to make this many outs, or we're going to make this much money. It was just, let's just build. Like I say, we jumped off a cliff and we built a plane on the way down. It's exactly what we did from the start. And then January 2023, I was like, right, Jesus, we have something here. I got an accountant. I actually got an accountant at the very, very start. One of the things I did from the start, and without knowing, because I did all of this without like having a clear goal of where I wanted to go. So we got obviously working in kitchens, I'd be very in tune with food safety and EHO compliance. So I did all of that straight away. Got all of that set up, got an accountant, registered for tax, like did everything above board. I go to sleep at night knowing that, like, you know, everything is in order. I don't cut corners. So one of the proudest things I've ever set standards for myself from the start. I never cut corners. And yeah, so would have been start of 2022. I was like, right, we have something here. And then March, we were just building. And then March 2022, I made the biggest decision ever. We were doing like deliveries all over Dublin, reoccurring orders every week. Like we were just blowing. I had to get a flip dish terminal, I had to get a website, I had to print receipts. Like we were blasted. Had like 6-foot fridges in the back of the gaff. I mean, like I started this from my mom's kitchen. Like I took over the whole back conservatory, bought workbenches, bought like there's videos of all of this like going all the way back as well. So really just like took over my mom's house. And I remember around this time my mom came home and there was a 6-foot fridge in her front room beside the telly. She walked in and she goes, "Ciaran, you need to get out of here." And I was like, right. So we took on our first unit. It was a small sublet unit in Seatown Business Campus in Swords. It was a third of the size of this room. Genuinely, I walked, and it was upstairs, and I walked 2 stainless steel tables up there, put fridges up there. Long story short, at the exact same time, I made one of the boldest decisions ever. I feel like when you reach a new level of height, because we're doing right now, which we can get into a little bit, but when you need to reach a new level, you need to take risks that make absolutely no sense to no one but you and the founder and the leader. Genuinely. And at the same time, I cut all of our revenue. I decided to cut our home deliveries, only go wholesale, only supply shops. We had 3 shops at the time that we still stock to this day. Shout out to Berry and Bean and Rush, Loafed and Swords, and the Cool Coffee Lounge. We still stock all 3 of them to this day.
That's where I get mine, the Cool Coffee Lounge.
Is it? Yeah, nah, big up the gaff. But we stocked the 3 of them at the time. We still do to this day. And I cut all of our revenue. We hired 2 staff, which was my mum and my little cousin Harry, because he was off for school. And we took on that unit. 6 weeks later, we moved into a full 150 square foot unit in Seatown around the corner. In the space of 6 weeks, it just took off. Like, you know what I mean?
And a question I wanted to ask you as well. I seen you brought your ma to Monaco.
Yes, bro.
After working very hard for you and
Yes,
sort of
bro.
you repaying her. What was it like, sort of retiring her and getting a job in your company?
How early do you want me to cry? Yeah, that is yeah, bro, that's a very special feeling. And that's actually something that I didn't one thing about me is I really enjoy my private life. I really like, I am the face of the business and I love getting out there. I love talking to people. I love sitting here with you 2 boys and collaborating. I love getting the name out there. But when it comes to me private life and me mammy, and you know, like Sean's always saying to me, you start doing day in the life and stuff. Like, I don't want people to know what my day in the life looks like.
Yeah.
I don't want people to know what my house looks like. I don't want people, like, I think for me anyways, like, I need my safe space. I need some things that are just for me and the people that are in my life. So like, if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't have that on social media. Just for the fact that that's just mine, that's for me, you know what I mean?
What people don't know, they can't ruin.
Exactly, 100%. So a trip to Monaco, I'm sure I put up a story or 2 or a post, but I didn't, you know, take a big video, look at me, I'm bringing my mum to Monaco, this is so cool. That was just for me. That was just for me to enjoy, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be putting that up on social media. It's like, you know, if you do something for the homeless but you have a camera in their face, it kind of completely defeats the purpose. Now it's different, but I was bringing my mum to Monaco, to Nice, and we rented a car, we blew around. It was just, man, it was so special. But that was just for me and her to enjoy. But I brought my camera and I shot like a little vlog and I made it, but it's just like a lot of the content I create, it's literally just for memories. It's not to try and like get out there and get, like, I don't ever want to be an influencer. I don't want brand deals. I'm a very creative person. I love showcasing my life. I love showcasing the business. And I think it's why it works so well. Like Sean, it's just so authentic. It's just really, it just comes from me. So that Monaco video, I was just sitting on it. And genuinely, bro, I was just watching it one night whenever I posted it, maybe about a month ago. And I was just like, you know what? this is pretty sick. I should post this. And the only reason I'm going to post this is because it could inspire some people out there to work very hard. So maybe one day they can do something like this too.
It certainly lit a fire in my belly.
Really,
I'll tell
bro,
you that.
yeah.
I watched it a couple of times, and
Good.
that's honestly like my dream destination as well, Monaco. And just watching that scene you brought your ma and seeing how hard my ma works and all, it's something that I want to do.
Wow,
and I'm really inspired.
Something that
by
I
it
think
from
everybody should do, like, or aspire to do, you know?
Yeah. No, that's
Give
incredible.
back, sort of, isn't it? Like,
One day, bro, one day you 100% will. I really appreciate that too. But yeah, everything I do is for my mum. It's to give her a better life than we got. To never have her to worry about financial struggles. As I've said recently, the goal was to make her financially free from burdens, and everything from here is a bonus. You know what I mean? If I don't know, everything, if my car was taken away tomorrow, you know, like, she's the reason why I work. So she is my why, you know. And people ask what your why is. She is my why. So taking her to Monaco, bro, it was incredibly special. It's hard to put into words. The video was just for me, but it's why I think I wrote up a little caption. I was having another little emotional social media rant.
Yeah.
All of my posts, most of my posts are just emotional rants, and I'm just like, nah, I'm gonna talk about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really just, it's not for like a look at me, I'm so cool, I brought my mom to Monaco. I can't really remember the caption right now, but it was something along the lines of like, you know, this is far from the life that we grew up with, but you know, she'll enjoy herself now. And the video, I surprised her with the helicopter out of Monaco.
Yeah.
At the end, when the violin builds up, and we're getting the morning of the of our flight home, I booked a helicopter out of Monaco port into a private terminal in Nice airport, and then a chauffeur to the plane. Like, why not? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Gonna do it though properly.
It was just for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was really just to give her that experience. She honestly deserves the world.
And a question I have for you as well. Sorry if I cut across you.
No, you're all good, bro.
You have in your bio full-time visionary, and I don't know if a lot of people picked up on it, but I think you recorded a Lamborghini or Ferrari, and you said one day as well to her. That's something I picked on. A good visualizer. I wouldn't have thought I was into it, but I'm in the middle of reading the book The Secret. Do you know that book?
I've never read it, but it's meant to be good, yeah.
Oh, and it's really like it shifted my mindset completely, and like it's just visualization has turned into a big thing for me now. And I was just gonna ask you, do you visualize a lot, or do you visualize where you're gonna be or where you are to now? Or
yeah, I think there's another, reading's incredible. I couldn't recommend reading enough. I blast through books. I've gone through about 40-50 books in the last 2 years. It's literally free knowledge.
Yeah.
So honestly, I encourage everyone to read. But to answer your question, yeah, I think so. I think Ciaran actually said it to me one time that she thinks I'm a natural manifester, and it's in the case of, if I want something, I'll get it. And I just work towards it, because it's one thing visualizing something, but you need a strategy to put the work in. So like, you can howl at the moon and say, I want £1 million, I want £1 million, I want £1 million.
The law of attraction and the law of action go together.
Exactly, 100%. But you also need reasons. I think you do need reasons why behind what you want, because like, someone might want £1 million, but it's not the money they want, it's the security or freedom, or maybe it might be materialistic possessions, but you need a reason for them materialistic possessions too, because all of these things are quite hollow. I was trying
to explain it to somebody, and I was going on loads of different tangents. I couldn't wrap my head around how to explain it, and somebody said it to me. This is like a sort of short and sweet way of explaining it. If you're manifesting to win the lotto, you have to go out and buy a lotto ticket. And that's just a short term of if you're manifesting it, you have to take action towards it as well.
That's very true, yeah. So like, even like I my mentor Ciaran, who I was in Dubai with last week, he's big on journaling, and I've been journaling for a good 4 or 5 years, but I've been journaling consistently for the last 2. Like, I've about 5 or 6 like diaries like filled up. I filled up 2 diaries last year because I had a bit of a mental year last year as well. But yeah, no, between journaling's just bleeding your brain out onto paper, and it really just unravels, and then you have like literally like a scripture of your life. Like, I can go back to any day from last year and literally look at my thoughts from that day. So it's really cool. How I like to explain it to people is, you know, the drawer in the gaff that has all of the chargers and stuff in it, and everything's just batteries and lighters and all in it.
Yeah,
that's your brain. And journaling is going into that drawer and unraveling all the wires and putting them back neatly and nicely into the drawer and throwing out the old lighters and stuff. That's what journaling is. It just unravels your brain.
That's what a lot of people say, like, your mind is like a garage, like, and if it's all messy, you won't be able to focus on things. But if you tidy it up and you realise you have room for something else, then you can put another focus into it.
Yeah, 100%. And that, I think journaling and keeping your mind right, because it's the most important thing in life, 100%. And visualizing is, yeah, you definitely have to envision yourself there and be a little
Crazy.
I don't know, crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean. Crazy is a good thing. Like, weird's a good thing. But you told me 3 years ago, I'm gonna spend the last 2 years of my life making notes. Like, all we do is make little pots of porridge. Like, yeah, it sounds cool sitting here, boys, blah, 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 all this stuff, all this. We make little pots of porridge. Yeah. I make a living, and 13 of my staff make a living off little pots of porridge. Like, put that into perspective. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But
and if you said that to somebody at first, like, you're gonna do that, people would think you're crazy. Like, you can't make a living off that.
People did think I was crazy, you know what I mean? People still do think I'm crazy, but on another note, it's very irrelevant what other people think. You can't get caught up on other people's opinions because it'll just hold you back so much. I feel like you need to be a sponge with that type of things. Like, sponges, it doesn't absorb everything, it only absorbs what it wants. So you need too many voices in your head. It's not good, and especially the wrong voices. So I only go to specific people about specific things. That's one of the main things at the moment, is just conserving my energy, especially for me. Like, I've 2 companies with a lot of staff in both of them and a lot of directions, and they're just growing so fast. But then I have my own personal life, you know, I have relationships, I have this, I have that. So just conserving my energy is just the main thing I'm really trying to zone in on, and not trying to overbook myself, and not trying to. I grew up a big people pleaser because my mum is a big people pleaser, and I'd be a good bit of a people pleaser too. But the older that I get, I need to learn that the more you say no to yourself, the more you say yes to others, the more you say no to yourself. And like, you have to have a certain type of selfishness in your life to put yourself first, especially when you're in charge of so much and responsible for so much and so many people and so much things. I'm really working hard on just being very selective with how and who and when and where I spend my energy.
Daily.
And then when did you start taking on more and more staff, and when did you start to realise that it was growing so fast? And
did it get stressful for you getting more staff in, or did you manage it well?
You know what, boys? I was extremely embarrassed hiring staff at the first time.
Really?
Yeah, extremely embarrassed. So my mum was helping me. My mum used to walk into the kitchen and be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, making notes, and she'd just be like, "That's weird." And then she started helping me out, and then we were blasted in the house. And then we moved into our first unit, and she came with me. She was a part-time florist at the time. She worked in childcare her whole life, and then my dad died, and then she was like in childcare and working as a receptionist in town and trying to do anything to bring some money into the house to survive, basically. Yeah. So she was a part-time florist at the same time, and she was helping me out. Then we hired my little cousin Harry, and that was alright. My mum and Harry were cool. People always say that it must be hard working with your family, but it's been very enjoyable to date. And yeah, so I hired my little cousin Harry, and then my uncle Alan. He's been in the company to date, and he's literally like, I'd be absolutely lost without him. So he came on board. So I had my uncle, my mum, and my cousin, and that was grand. But then it would have been when, maybe summer 2023. Oh man, the years are actually one big just ball. When was 2023? It would have been around then. Anyways, I was hiring 3 staff at the same time. One was one of my friends, Con, who I've been friends with since I was 4 years old. One was a girl, Ava, who I kind of knew. And then one was a guy called James, who's literally my best friend now. And I didn't know who he was before he sent me a CV. And I said it to them at the Christmas party we had that year, that I was so embarrassed hiring the 3 of them. And I don't know why. It was just such a lack of confidence, of self-esteem, of who would want to make oats with me, you know what I mean, and pay someone. You know, we were only operating on a Friday at the time. It was only 8 hours, 10 hours if we did deliveries, blah blah blah, this and that. And yeah, I was just very embarrassed at the start, but I just had to put on a face. I just had to act like I wasn't 100%. Yeah, and then hiring them three, it was tough, and ever since then, like we only hired another girl last week, so now we have 13 staff between the two companies. So yeah, I literally, what I like to do is, what we do is we, like, it's very easy to train people into the production side of the oats, and then it's very easy. If someone is barista trained, it's very easy for them to pop into the cafe. So for anyone that doesn't know, I own a company called Soul Food, and we wholesale pots of overnight oats across Dublin. So we have a production team that has 8 staff currently, then we have 5 drivers, and then we have our own coffee shop in Portmanic, and that has 5 staff. So when we opened up the cafe, that was a whole different ballgame because it was such a different staff culture. Because when we're in the warehouse, it's just us. You know, the speakers going, we're having a laugh, we're making oats, and boom, it's done. Whereas the cafe, we're dealing with customers, we're open every day, there's machines on all day. It's very, very different. And yeah, I struggled with maintaining the structure. I was juggling 2 completely different organizations, and with different staff, with different people, with different personalities, with different emotions. And I'm bleeding 21, 22, trying to deal with myself while carry all of this as well. So it was difficult, but I truly enjoy it. And right now, I have the greatest team around me in the world. I would be absolutely nowhere without them. We only had a big meeting in the boardroom yesterday for all the plans that we have with Soul Food. All of my staff in the cafe are very tied into that too. Going back to what I was saying, it's very easy to train. I can even get someone barista trained in our coffee roaster. I can train someone in to the Soul Food production side of things, and the team can. I don't even train people into the production side. Well, I do have a part to play in it also, but I can't train someone to be a good person, trustworthy, a hard worker.
Yeah.
So literally, I don't deal with CVs. I don't care where you went to college or what degree you have. I'll talk to you for 5 minutes and have a coffee, and I'll know if you'll be a good addition to the team or not, and that's what I do. So if we have a job, if we have an opportunity open, I also like to work with referrals too. So both of our last hires was one of James's friends, Keane, and my uncle's niece, Rachel. They were my last 2 hires. So we work off referrals. But yeah, I literally, both of them, I met them for a coffee at the cafe, talked to them for 5 minutes. I like to talk to them about them. I want to get to know about them. Like, what do you do in your spare time? What are you doing with your life? Do you love to spend time with your family? Blah, blah, blah. I tell them what we do, and I literally, I've met a couple of people for coffees that I didn't take on. Nothing personal, but I just said, let's just hold on. So I'd be like, oh yeah, we're interviewing a couple of people, I'll get back to you, blah, blah, blah. Or else, if I like them, as I did Keane and Rachel, I was like, yeah, sweet, when do you want to start? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I have the greatest team in the world. I'd be absolutely nowhere without them.
And it did skyrocket for you, but you had a couple of bumps in the road as well, didn't you? I
Yes.
don't know if you want to touch on I don't know, was it last year when you had a sort of, you were tied up with solicitors and
Yeah, bro,
all of
yeah,
that,
100%. Yeah, it's actually it's a big question, and a big kind of loads of stories in the
I was just going to ask you, how do you overcome it? How do you still go up every morning after dealing with stuff like that and say, right, I'm still going to go at this, we're still going to keep this going, we're not going to give up?
I don't know any other way. I don't know if that's a good answer for you, but I genuinely don't know any other way. I'd run through a brick wall if I told myself to. That's my superpower. Like, I know I will always find a way, 100%. And even everything that happened last year, it was tough. I learned a lot of the harsh realities of business last year. Like any success, I'm very grateful that I know some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country at the moment. I was with one of them today. Meeting people who have already done what you've done is the fastest way to get there, and I'm very, very grateful for the people that I have in my life right now. But every single successful person I talk to has one of them. Oh yeah, that happened to me 2 years. That's fine, you know what I mean? That's just outside world stuff.
Do you think that, like, you grew from that?
I did 100%. But all of that stuff I was talking about, that's outside stuff. But I thought this fella was my friend. I thought this fella cared about me. Like, I did everything for this man. So going back to being a people pleaser, seeing the good in people, it was more than business. It was more than losing everything. It was a life lesson about people. And yeah, it took a long time to get over it. I had the business things to sort out, and thankfully they did. But I also had the personal side of things to get through myself. At the same time too, I was trying to maintain and scale soul food. This is just a cafe. This had nothing to do with soul food. So I was maintaining and scaling soul food at the same time too. Then on top of that, with social media pressure and blah blah blah, and being a 21-year-old kid and having to deal with all this, is 22. Sorry, I just turned 22 while all this was going on. So yeah, man, my head was really fried. I'm not gonna lie. Last year was a pretty intense year. Them 2 diaries that I have, I'm gonna auction them off because there's some tales in them, huh? Yeah. That's like a guide to life. But yeah, I think now looking back on it, I think adversity is one of the best things you can go through, and hard times is one of the best things you can go through. And I've been going through hard times since I was 8 years old, since my dad died. And it only really, it's more feathers in the cap. It really just teaches you things, and it just gives you armor towards life. So now I know it's just experience, you know what I mean? But I'm also humble enough to know I'm still so young, and I still have a long road ahead of me, and I'm sure stuff like this is bound to happen again, but at least now I'll just be more prepared for when it does. So, you know, I don't like to regret anything in life, because anything that's happened in my life has gotten me to where I am, sitting here with you two boys today, doing all I do, knowing all the people I know, having all the opportunities coming my way. And I'm just so grateful for everything that's coming my way. And to have gone through everything I went through last year, and to be running in Dubai, raising money for Jigsaw, running in a Lululemon kit that we were all kitted out in, like, you know what I mean? It's incredible. So I really like to say, if you have good intentions, that you'll be looked after, you know what I mean? And I've started this company, and I still try to always remind myself to start on and just keep the good intentions. I started on good intentions, and people with good intentions, you know, good things will come to you in life. You'll go through the bad times, that's cool, you learn from it and you move on.
And just on that note, one question we always ask our listeners is, what advice would you give to maybe not the younger generation, but maybe the 8-year-old Ciaran? What would you say to him if you go back now?
Oh, that's a great question, bro. You're really going to make me cry. 8-year-old Ciaran. Oh, Jesus. No, I used to always put myself on the long finger. I used to always be like, I'm fine, I'm this, I'm that, blah, blah, blah. But Sharon literally said it to one time. She goes, do you know any 8-year-olds? And I go, yeah, the kids that I coach in the gym. She goes, name one of them. And I was like, I can't remember. Sean, for example. He goes, Sean's 8 years old, yeah. Yeah, Sean's 8 years old. Right. His dad dies right now. How do you feel towards him? And I was like, Jesus, that's horrible. That's rough. Like, but and she was like, yeah, start looking at yourself like that. And that was one of the biggest realizations I had. I don't know what I'd say. I'd just give him a little hug, man. I'd say everything's going to be okay, you know what I mean? You'll figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out. You know what I mean? In myself, in 8 years' time, I'll look back at myself at 23 and I'll say, Jesus, we're still figuring it out. I think life is just this one big, long game of figuring it out. I think
it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I think in the nicest way possible, everyone is full of shit. No one knows what they're doing. No one knows what they want to do. Everyone's just figuring it out as they go. Everyone is just, if you're a good person, just trying your best. And for me anyways, I'm just trying my best. I'm trying to figure it out as I go, and I'm trying to help a few people on the way. Like, all I do is I work very hard, and if I can help a few people along the way, happy days. That's it. That's my life. I like to keep things simple, you know?
And you know what I was going to ask you, actually? Like, see, when you were starting off soul foods and getting into entrepreneurship, did you have many, like, begrudgers, like, thinking, you're too young, or judging you because of your age?
Yeah, 100%.
Especially in business and collaborating with businesses and...
Yeah, took a very long time for me to build up respect. For a very, very long time, it was like, now it was nice as well, but it was very like, he's great with his little business, and like my mom would be in, and like some of our stock partners would be talking to her, be like, he's great, isn't he? But yeah, no, it would. Like, I remember when we set up both of the companies, I had to open up new bank accounts, and I was on the phone to Bank of Ireland for like 40 minutes or something, trying to just set everything up, blah blah blah. And then she was going back through all of my information. She was like, Ciaran O'Connor, blah blah blah, Malahide, 30th of January 1982. And I go, no, hold on, 2002. And she was just like, what? 2000 and what? So yeah, no, it did. It took a long time to build up respect. for my age. But I think it's also my greatest asset too. Not a lot of people kind of our age doing some cool stuff like I'm doing, you know what I mean? And I say that with as little an ego as possible, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit of my superpower.
Or authentic.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't see it as like, it's not like, look at me, I'm doing so well, but it's like, if I can do it, so can you know what I mean? I don't see myself as different to anyone else. Like, I'm just sitting here with Jules. All I just do is work very hard, and I'm doing something that's working right now, and long may it last, you know?
Yeah. The same with the thing that you were on about, like, going through the whole solicitor thing. Like, I heard Tommy Malahide talking about that as well.
He had it rough.
Yeah. But I think it's
was
good that
bad.
you can relate to people always like that, you know? And it
Yeah.
shows that, like, Tommy Malahite's a big advocate to show that, like, anyone can do anything and anything's possible. And you look at him now, like, doing what he's doing with the train and overcoming the whole thing with Malahide.
Yeah, no, he had it rough, Jesus. But yeah, like, going back to it, like I was saying, every successful person always has one of them kind of stories. And last year, Jesus, now I'm not saying I'm successful now or whatever, but everyone has one of the, I think to get through to the next level, you really just have to step through the hurdle. There is just, to be able to advance to the next level, it's like a game. You have to go through something really difficult. I truly believe that. And then it starts to just kind of get clear, and you can breathe again, and you look back, and I look back on the last year of my life, and I'm a completely different person to who I was a year ago. Even one of my friends, Sean, he works in the cafe, he showed me a photo of me and him working in the cafe a year ago, and boys, like, I literally look like a child, like, and compared to now. So yeah, life's a mad old buzz. But then again, you know what I mean, like, not to try and get too deep, but we're literally floating on a rock, like, you know what I mean? We're just like, I don't know,
organs wrapped in skin.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a beautiful thing to not take it too seriously. So here I'm talking about life and business and these hard things I went through last year. But then again, it's also a beautiful thing to not take it too seriously, you know what I mean? We're all going to be wrapped up in a box one day, so we might as well try and, like, I just want the most out of life that I can possibly get.
Definitely.
I don't think that's too much to ask, you know what I mean?
And on that note, I have one more question for you. Where, as a visualizer, where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years? Or do you have something that you want to achieve and you can put it out there now and listen back in 2 to 3 years when you achieved it and think, I'm proud of myself?
Yeah. Just make me mommy proud. That's the main thing, to be honest with you, bro. I think at the moment, we're doing, I'm looking forward to the next year, let alone 2 or 3, because how the next year pans out is going to decide for the next 3 to 5. So we've only started teasing the social media in the last couple of days, but there's a lot going on with soul food right now. It's very early days, but it's very funny as well, because going back to, you have to kind of, to 10x things, you just have to jump through something crazy. The mindset I have, boys, right? Everything we're doing with Sulphur right now is working. People love it. We're in shops. The systems are set up. Our suppliers are there. I've done all of the hard work over the last 2 years, over the last 10 years. You know what I mean? Because it's not just when I started Soul Food and boom. It's everything that happened before that, multiplied onto Soul Food. So everything we're doing right now is working. And I have decided at the end of last year to do a full 180 and just say, no, scrap that. This is what we're doing now. So don't worry, we'll still be making oats and supplying shops, but we're going through a big rebrand. We're really elevating our products, our brand, our company to the next level. We're one big rocket ship right now. If you think we've been a rocket ship for the last 2 years, the work that we're doing right now is pretty insane. We're documenting a lot of it. We're starting to tease a little bit. Come April, you can expect some big noise out of Soul Food. It might work, it might not, but you know, I'm a firm believer in just trying and figuring it out. You know what I mean? If it doesn't work, we'll recalibrate and we'll figure something else. But it's worked to date. We have an incredible following. I'd be nothing without the people that buy our oats every week and come to the cafe and like our posts. It's honestly, it's incredible, the community we've built and the work environment we've built around that. I still pinch myself some days, but that'd be the main thing, bro. If we did what we're planning to do for this year, and that will move forward to where we're going for next year, and there'll be a whole nother plan. But yeah, if we did all the plans that we sat in the boardroom and talked about yesterday, that I talked about to a very special person to me today, and that we're going to be working on over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and we're going to be launching in April, I'd say, Jesus, kid, you did it. You did something well. So yeah, it's going to be pretty sick. We're trying to build the biggest healthy food brand in Ireland and beyond across Europe. That's just bold and makes so much noise and offers healthy, indulgent food with good macros and just helps people empower their days. They can eat it anywhere. It's convenient. It's food that makes them feel good. It's a direct representation of me, the founder, and my soul put in a little pot for you to enjoy and to be a part of the brand. That's what a brand is. It's inviting people to be a part of it. So that's what we're building at the moment, bro. So yeah, that'd be the biggest thing. And just keep my mind right and make sure I never lose sight of the real things in life that are great. Because these businesses and these plans and trips to Monaco and blah blah blah, the list can go on. Trips to Dubai, but family, time, long walks, morning coffees, just slowing things down, bro. I'm really working on slowing things down this year. It's funny coming from me as well because I live 100 miles an hour, and I run 2 companies, but just slowing things down in a specific way that certain people will understand. That's what I'm trying to do. Sitting here right now with you just having a great chat. I wouldn't have done this a year ago. You know what I mean? I would have been like, Whereas now it's just I'm here, we're having a great conversation. It'll hopefully help people. So that's where we're at right now, yeah. Should be good.
Deadly.
Legend.
Thanks a lot for coming on.
What a buzz. I don't want it to end.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm really messing with
Legendary.
you. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
I'll wrap this up. Episode 32, Back to the Class podcast, wrapped up.